So last year was our first bear hunt in nearly 40 years. We did a very small limited lottery, and back when there was bear hunting in the 70s and 80s in the turn of the century, it was not a lottery. It was a buy a license, go hunting, maybe even had more liberal limits than we have now. This is a very conservative approach, something we've not done before. And we've not hunted bears at all in nearly 40 years, but now we're doing it in a very conservative, gradual way. This was a species that was listed just less than 10 years ago. We monitor 5 different subpopulations that we actually do population work in, where we're doing hair snaring, and that's hair snaring is we're getting hair from these bears, and we do one every summer. And we get that hair, we get DNA extracted from it. It's a capture mark recapture study, but it's a lot more complex than your basic capture mark recapture. But we have those 5 populations that we've been monitoring, and we've been monitoring 4 of them for quite a number of years, and we've just added a 5th one in 2023. So those are our most dense populations and where most of our bears live in the state. And so we start there. We start with our first hunt was in Tensas in Bear Area 4, and that's our densest bear population, and one of our oldest. And this year we're going to be opening a couple other areas, the coastal area down around St. Mary and Terrebonne and that area, and the Point Capee area, which we would call the Upper Chaffalaya Basin. Those 2 are also very old populations that have always had bears in them, and they've been, since they've been listed and recovered, their populations have grown. All those populations are either growing or are stable. We've only had this 1 year, and it turned out very well. It was a success just to have a hunt. It didn't matter if any bears were harvested. But we had 10 of 11 harvested last year, and most bear harvests throughout the country are 50-50 sex ratios. And we had an 80-20 male ratio, so 80% males, 20% females. We base our numbers off how do we pick how many tags for each bear area is based off of available females. How many females could we possibly harvest out of this without turning the population down, keeping the population the same as it is now? And that's where those numbers come from. So we figure 100% doesn't mean it's going to be 100%, but if it is, we've not hurt the population. When we look at a bear management area, what's the bear density? What's the people density? What kind of habitat's there? What's happening in that area? Is it becoming more urbanized, less urbanized? Is it to the point that there's so many bears there that they're moving out into less desirable habitat? Those are things we consider, and also we consider social carrying capacity, not the amount of land or bears that can be supported by the land, but the amount of bears that people can tolerate. What are those bears? Are they interacting with people daily? Is it something as simple as we just see bears, or is it, hey, there's some property destruction and things like that? So those are things that we consider when we go into this management phase that we're in versus the recovery phase that we were in the early 2000s. We started off small, and we've expanded into some other bear areas, expanded some numbers a little bit in Bear Area 4, and as we see some trend data, this may take 5, 6, 10 years. Maybe are we going to be able to sustain that 80% males? Probably not, but maybe it turns out to be 60 or 65%. We will just see how it goes, and we can set seasons off of that and expand into other areas. So this is a very conservative approach. This is a kind of a slow walking bear hunt where we may have data in all these places and we could open them all at once, but we want to make sure we're doing it right. We're looking for flaws in our system. And as we find them, we'll fix them, or we may find that there's flaws things we didn't think about, and it's not on the harvest part. Maybe it's in how our lottery is run. But as we develop this and hunters get feedback back to us and we see our results, we can tweak and try different things and try to get as close to perfect as we can.